In this video, we're going to explore how to choose a pedagogical strategy using the Universal Design for Learning framework. To achieve this, we first need to deconstruct the content descriptors from the Australian curriculum we will be teaching. Then we identify the functional impacts for all the students in our classroom. We identify relevant elements of the UDL framework that could be used to overcome our students' functional impacts. We determine the relevant UDL guidelines to target that pedagogical response. We identify an appropriate pedagogical response because the Universal Design for Learning framework is simply a problem-solving tool. Then we develop the teaching strategy we're going to use with our students. The first step is to deconstruct the content descriptors that we will be teaching. We do this by identifying the cognitive verbs that need to be defined and any relevant terminology. The next step is to identify the functional impacts for the students in our classroom. Keeping the functional impacts in mind, we look at the Universal Design for Learning framework. We identify the specific principle that would be useful for teaching the content descriptors and helping the students to overcome their functional impacts. The general principles associated with the UDL framework are quite general, so we go and look more specifically at the guidelines. In the UDL framework, the guidelines are the specific rectangles with a bolded heading. Looking at the UDL guideline, we choose some specific checkpoints that could be useful to overcome our students' barriers to the learning process. The checkpoints are more targeted pedagogical approaches to address the functional impact and support the teaching of a content descriptor in the Australian curriculum. The UDL checkpoints suggest that there might be two pedagogical strategies that are useful for teaching the content descriptor and supporting the students to overcome their functional impacts. The pedagogical strategies are mind mapping and Venn diagrams. We now develop our teaching response using mind mapping and Venn diagrams.